All right, I'm actually going to record a much shorter video. I've actually done this twice, but I just don't want to force you guys to sit through like me 40 minutes of me talking about a spotlight. So let's just go over the Overwatch spotlight. I play this at 2 times speed 'cause I'm sure everybody's already seen all this, but due to the fact that I've made a bunch of Overwatch content in the past and all like the reworks and stuff I would do for certain heroes, is still I was not excited. I was curious about today, like everyone else, and it just did not spark any sort of excitement in me. I just don't really look. I don't really care about any of these things. But here, we'll go over it.
Many of the things, but definitely not all, that we are playing for the first half of this year. First up, the biggest change since Overwatch launched, your favorite heroes are about to get a whole lot more heroic with perks. Perks are here to completely redefine your strategy and how you play your favorite heroes. Think of them as hero-specific bonuses that level up your gameplay and not just your hero.
Now, um,
This means you can customize how you play in a match like never before. It's like giving your favorite hero.
I looked at some of the perks already based off of like I think like Spilo did a video on it and he was looking over some of them and I of course quickly tuned into like Tracer and I looked at it as like I looked at the perks and I saw I was like, oh, it's very clear which ones would be the useful ones and which ones would just there'd be no point. Like it always has this problem of just like the way that I would design the characters and how I view it is different than how Aaron and his team views it. Because to me, I saw the perks for Tracer and I was like, I don't know if anyone over there actually plays Tracer because it's clear that there are some that you just pick over the others. It's not like you have a choice. And if there's ones that are just automatically better, you just pick the ones that, of course, are just always better. And I don't really like the idea of adding more hidden uh abilities and things behind um stuff that you can't visibly see in game. And if you have to hit tab in order to see it, it doesn't help me in the fact that the game's already started or I'm looking at someone or maybe someone switched. And I don't know what perk they have. I don't want to have to sit there and guess whether or not I need to dodge left or dodge right in a PvP game where I want consistency over my abilities. In Team Fortress 2, they used to have this thing where it was crit shots, and the crit shots were random, and people hated it because you could turn a fight or win a fight just based on the fact that you got a lucky crit and the other person didn't. And that would be very frustrating. So I view perks being the same way. Uh, and as much as I know this is like a shakeup to be like, oh, we're just going to just throw everything out there, like everything I've criticized about Overwatch is that not that it's a bad game, it's just that there are strong cracks in the foundation making the whole gameplay experience really weak. And adding perks on top of this is a lot like giving your home like smart switches in every room, but the gas doesn't work and you don't have hot water. Like yeah, like, I guess you're giving me some things to make my life a little bit more interesting, but that really wasn't high on my priority list. I thought they're just like, you know what? We heard what you said. We heard your feedback, and we are going to remove the passives and we are going to shake the game up even more. And we're going to make it more, more about kill potential and less about sustain and denial. And this is just not what I was hoping for. So, yeah.
Heroes a little extra oomph. Overwatch 2 is about to evolve in a way you've never seen before. After that, we'll go into how we're starting the 2025 competitive year with a full reset and new competitive rewards, including the new competitive weapon when Season 15 launches. We will also showcase some new mythic skins, game mode improvements to how you are rewarded for your playtime. Receive a also share with Watch into China. Of course, hope is to get an utter.
I don't really care about rank resets. I will say that these are cooler than the Jade weapons. Like I criticize Overwatch a lot, but I will always compliment like the art team, the designs, even programming, how well the game functions. Like there's a lot of stuff that Overwatch does really well. I just don't care for what the game has turned into anymore. I don't I wish they wouldn't have gone back to the loot boxes. I mean, like, it might be cool, but it's just there's more things that they're showing me that they're adding where they're just like, oh, instead of bringing back the cool stuff from Overwatch 1, which was the gameplay experience, we're bringing back all of these other things that on top of it, which we took away when you didn't want to like stop playing the original anyway. So I don't know. Like I have mixed feelings towards this that like I guess it's cool that we're getting some things back, but I'm not getting anything new added that actually makes me happy or excited about where the game is going. Ghost Meta was not named Ghost Meta because it was like the greatest meta. It was a terrible meta that I lived through for way too long. Skin is dope. Also, I have mad respect for Zen players, so I think it's cool that they get a skin. As cool as the skins are, and I do love the skins, because of the fact that the overall experience of playing Overwatch is just frustrating and it's not as rewarding. It's I can't see myself getting excited for it. As an artist, as a 3D artist, I can look at it and go, "Wow, that's amazing," and I try to imitate some of their painting styles and whatnot in my own work, but like looking at it from a player perspective, it does Overwatch at this point is just it's just frustrating. It's not as much fun as it used to be. So like it's cool to see the skins, but I'm still nowhere near the in any motivation to actually spend any money on them.
Time the most significant innovation to core gameplay since Overwatch launched in 2016. This is more than just an update. It's a radical shift in how you experience gameplay. Perks are upgrades to your hero's kit that unlock during the game. They provide an additional strategic layer, allowing you to alter your playstyle and adapt to situations. Throughout the match, you'll level up your hero 2 times, unlocking 1 minor perk and 1 major perk. The first time you level up, you'll get a choice between 2 minor perks. We positioned minor perks as lighter upgrades.
The perks are something where it seems like it would be a dope idea for some sort of like PvE type experience. It looks like it would be fun for, sort of like mini modes like that. But seeing it in a PvP experience is not something I'm all that stoked for. I just like it's going to become clear to the people I think who actually like play these characters and play the game that they know which one is the best one and most efficient one, and that's just what everyone's going to default to. It's not choice when there is only one like optimal option, right?
They're like a little boost to warm you up, from cooldown reductions to
Or it's going to do this thing that what Team Fortress 2 did, which back in the day, oddly enough, they're following the same footsteps. Team Fortress 2 had very specific heroes, right? There's 9 different heroes. They all had very specific play styles, and they all had certain ways where one countered another. Like a spy could counter a pyro, but a pyro could counter a spy, but a spy could counter an engineer, and so on, right? And then when but I played the spy, and when the spy would kill an engineer, what you could do really quickly, because like you could one shot someone with a backstab, is you would backstab the engineer and quickly switch to your sapper and put them on the engineer's turret and healing station and destroy them. So if you killed him, you could sap everything quickly. It was very difficult because the engineer could turtle up in a corner and just keep whacking at it, and you could find ways to try and kill him, sap his stuff, and get out, which was very difficult. It's high risk, high reward. And the thing is, like the turrets in Team Fortress 2 were brutal. This is like you could not just like walk in front like you could a Torb turret and just heal through it. You actually had to destroy this thing. So they started to add all of these new different weapons for each of the heroes, and like the pyro got one where it was a different type of flamethrower, but it was still basically a flamethrower, just functioned a little bit differently. But then eventually they're just like, oh, we're going to give the pyro the ability to also destroy the sappers with his melee weapon, and so that way like he's got a way to help the engineer. But the problem is that destroyed the identity of the spy, which the spy, the whole point of taking that risk and killing the engineer was that if he died in that high risk play, uh, from the pyro turning and killing him, that at least the turret would still go down. But now, not only could the pyro kill him, he could also help restore the engineer's weapons and healing station. And that basically just ruined the game, from adding stuff like this because now all of the identities were just lost. Like you were doing things you were never meant to be able to do, and it was no longer as fun as it was, as it turned from a very controlled environment in which players were trying to play up against one another and prove their skills into just a chaotic mess where it just wasn't fun anymore. And eventually we all just kind of like me and my friends were playing like over 1,000 hours into this game and we were continuously having fun with it until eventually one day after all these changes, I was just like, I don't recognize what this is anymore and it's just no longer fun. And perks seem kind of like the same thing to me. It's just you're adding stuff to these characters that instead of continuing the trend of making the game easy to learn and difficult to master, you're just adding a chaotic mess to entertain what I would assume would be a casual audience. And now here's the thing. This is the vision that they have chosen. If this is the one that's earning them money, okay, I understand. Maybe they needed to target a new demographic of players. Maybe the OG audience of Overwatch members who were there from the beginning aren't their target market anymore. But like I've said in other reactions in the past, where when they say, "Oh, we want to make a competitive shooter," I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about because everything you're doing to me seems the opposite. Now, like I said, I might not just be the target audience anymore. Maybe there's a lot of players who are enjoying this. Maybe they're excited about this. But to me, I look at it and I say people are going to figure this out pretty quick, and those cracks in the foundation of the frustration are still going to exist. They're not going to go away just because perks are there. Like, just because of the fact that now I can walk into my house and turn my lights on by using a voice command doesn't change the fact that I'm still going to be frustrated by taking cold showers. Like, uh, the same problems will still exist.
Just small passives that keep things balanced but exciting. Once you hit your major perk level, you'll get to choose between two powerful upgrades, letting you fine-tune your playstyle for the rest of the match. Major perks are gameplay-shifting additions to your hero's kit, changing your core loop and redefining what your hero is capable of. Let's look at an example now with Orisa. When you level up Orisa to
I also like how in the video they're like, we're going to show you the most boring characters possible for these perks. Like out of all the characters that they could have chose, there's like Orisa, Torb, and Bastion in front of you, and like
level 2,
Sojourn
your minor perk choice
Slicing.
will be between heat reduction on your primary fire or the ability to briefly take burst.
I can look at these and be like, that's clearly not exciting. Like everyone's going to take the fortify, which because when there's one tank, what's most important is staying alive. So you can just be tankier on Orisa. Oh, that's going to be fun.
Damage with Fortify. Are you facing down a Junkrat and want to be able to survive his tire? The upgrade to Fortify might be a great choice. The fun really gets going when you get to your major perk at level 3, though. Here, Orisa gets a choice between a higher impact energy javelin or swapping out her javelin spin for a protective barrier. Here's another example of what you can expect with major perks with Torbjorn. For Torb's major perk options, you get to choose between two wild upgrades for your turrets. The first perk option is allowing you to upgrade your turret to level 3 when activating Overload, drastically shifting your turret's threat level as it rips through enemies. The second perk option is if you're feeling a little cheeky, upgrading your turret to now stick on walls. With this added flexibility, Thor can take different angles and even surprise opponents with sneaky turret placement. Finally, let's round it out with Ana. Ana's first major perk choice upgrades her sharpshooting capabilities, allowing her to headshot enemies. Be careful, Widowmaker, you might lose this sniper duel. Then, if you're playing Ana and having a hard time getting dove on, you might want Ana's second major perk option. Give yourself nano boost when it's activated on an ally. Now that's a way to turn a fight. When designing perks, we wanted to expand and elevate what your heroes are capable of. We are looking for a system that we can layer on top of your normal Overwatch gameplay and offer choice from match to match. We plan on adjusting perks on a regular cadence.
Once again, is it choice if there's always going to be one optimal perk? Like in those situations, it's there is no choice. There's not even an illusion of choice. Like even if you could switch up those perks based on who you're fighting, the moment you see someone, you're like, oh, I know I'm going to immediately switch to my perk to change this. So even if you're like running into a situation, let's say hypothetically, where a person has a certain perk and it's really frustrating to you, you switch to a different hero to deal with that perk. Well, then they can just switch to one that might do the opposite. Like I just don't really foresee it being anything more than just something people are going to quickly figure out.
Cadence with bigger system refreshes happening in the middle.
I don't want player choice to happen by giving me a bunch of like perks. I want player choice to be how I interact with the other players. My choice, to me, player choice is what are my counterplay options towards these people? Do I feel like I could have outplayed that scenario, or do I feel like I got ripped off because of the fact that I didn't have the right perk?
Middle of the year. Every choice you make with perks will impact the battlefield, offering new opportunities to outplay enemies and support your team. You'll get to experience the next era of Overwatch 2 when Season 15 launches. Every day. Honestly, it's what keeps us hyped to bring you more. Today, we're so happy to share some exciting new features when the 2025 competitive year begins during Season 15. Competitive systems. Last year during Season 9, it just feels logical to start with a big bang. Hard to make this year's weapon variant out of this world. We were also Season 15, meaning rake icons.
The galactic weapons look cool. The charms are just whatever. I don't care about charms. And this is like what was in I think Overwatch 1, so it's cool, I guess, to see it now, but I don't really care. I care about the core experience of Overwatch. I don't care about all of the extra crap on top. Um, this stuff is cool, but once again, like this is one of those things where I'm like, I'm glad that they're including this, but it's like, why did it take so long to make stuff like this, right? Like it just took way too long to include features that would have been nice quality of life changes. Something that reminds me of like Marvel Rivals is like Marvel Rivals, when you're in the practice range, you can switch a hero anywhere in there. You don't have to walk into a spawn room, and you can hit the practice settings and you can change it to have no ability cooldown so you can truly practice things. Overwatch doesn't have those quality of life features. So while this is nice, it's like, hey, you guys have been around a really long time and you haven't iterated to give us a quality of life, nor have you given us a good like fun experience. And I'm not going to say it's not balanced. I'm sure due to your metrics and the way that that Blizzard designs things, that there is a 50% win rate. But once again, as I've talked about, a 50% win rate doesn't necessarily mean what you're playing is fun. So you can have a balanced hero that is just frustrating to play against. So I just wonder, like, where have the quality of life changes been all this time? And like, it's cool to see here now, but it's like, where have they been, and why haven't we seen more of them? Quicker.
Mastery like ours, equipping players with the knowledge they need to improve is one of the most useful services we can provide as developers. That's why we're adding detailed stats to the hero information screen that show damage, cooldowns, ranges, and perks. Of course, Season 15 isn't just about competitive cosmetic updates. We're also tweaking stuff behind the scenes, things, shop bundles, and better ways to snag those jaw-dropping cosmetics. Season 15 is the return of loot boxes. While the war is
Really excited to join you today to speak about what you can expect from events this year. One of the biggest ways the team has been exploring new ways to play Overwatch 2 is through 6v6 tests. This is something players have been asking about since we launched Overwatch 2 with 5v5, and Aaron has written a few extensive blogs on why the team made this switch. Things like pick rates, tank queue times, match stalemates, matches going on too long, sometimes made Overwatch.
Once again, tank pick rates. I've talked about it in multiple videos. The consistent AoE sustain takes away from heroes who have low, inconsistent damage, and the tank ultimates are countered by basic support abilities, something that wasn't included originally in Overwatch 1, in the very beginning. It, the tank pick rates are directly affected by the fact that support just got giga buffed, and there's no sort of balance of power there, right? You took away the fun experience, and then the season 9 changes with like the DPS passive and um the giga buff tanks. Like, the only thing that we've done to tanks since Overwatch 2 has been released has been buff them more and more in all of the wrong areas, in which you've made them now the most valuable player, but also the least fun to play, because the only thing they're good at is being punched in the face. And that's not a good way to incentivize people to play that role. So we're talking about how like the fights are just going on too long, and how like, oh, like it feels like a slog, as he says, or like a stalemate. Marvel Rivals has 6v6, and the times that it feels like it's a stalemate is when there's three supports who have triple sustain and that triple AoE massive heal where nothing dies. Like, it's the same problem in Marvel Rivals, and we're going to see how they address it. But here in Overwatch, they're just like, oh, it's because of the format. It's not the format. It's still the same problem of just the AoE sustain. And now with the DPS passive and everything else, like, you've taken away any sort of consistency that tanks might have had while playing the game. So eh, to me, when they're just like, "Oh, well, people just don't like playing tank," I'm like, "That's not true. I like playing tank, but I don't play Overwatch 2 almost at all anymore since Marvel Rivals came out, because of the fact that it's just not an enjoyable experience. There's only so many times I can see a Suzu in a fight before I just rage quit out. I play Magneto or Marvel Rivals though, and I'm fine. Like, it's not that tank can't be a fun role. It's that you've given me reasons to hate playing it.
Which feel like more of a slog than the fun it should have been. We want to find the absolute best way to make 6v6 with those concerns in mind. These limited time events are our way to really.
And also, if there's six people on a match, there should be massive damage output coming in. So if there's fights that are going on too long, then what's keeping those players alive? If it's if if it's not the format, it's literally just like how much healing and sustain they get, which the whole game is about healing and sustain now in denial. That's the reason why a lot of players have just fallen out of love with the game, myself included.
Test how 6v6 and Overwatch 2 could work in the most fun, compelling ways possible when trying to address the various issues Get used to face. This was a really great experiment for us, and we thank everyone that took part, jumped into the matches, and shared your feedback. We're still sifting through all of the in-game data, along with the mountain of feedback the team received across social media, forums, emails, and carrier pigeons. So look for an update.
I don't really trust their ways of like interpreting the data. I just like, there's only so much you can look at in terms of like seeing how there's win rates and all this other stuff. Cause like, I don't ever feel like they ever gave it a true shot. When they released 6v6, I was on vacation. It was over the holidays. Marvel Rivals had just come out. And when they did, it was just sort of like a test mode. They never gave like an entire season to just 6v6 role queue. Like, let's see how this goes. Like, it just doesn't feel like any of it was genuine. So,
On some key learnings in the coming weeks. Moving forward, we're going to be doing more of these, and in Season 15, we're pleased to announce 6v6 is getting its own competitive queue. This will be an open queue, but with a max of 2 tanks per team. Not all of our events are just purely to
And that's not anything of what like the players who like 6v6, such as myself, were asking for.
experiment and to try and test out new features. We're also running events because, let's be honest, they're simply fun. Obviously, we have to bring back the modes and events that everyone loves. In addition to the current return of Lunar New Year, we're bringing back April Fools. You'll hit the beach in Summer Games, and of course, face the horrors of Dr. Junkenstein this Halloween.
I want to see, like, I enjoyed Dr. Junkenstein's like Revenge and all those other modes and stuff. It was fun. It was something to look forward to every year when Overwatch came out. But it was just like they did them kind of like the one time where like they make the modes, and then just like you just never see like new ones. Like, I remember being excited when it was just like, oh, we have Lucio Ball, we have this thing called Junkenstein's Revenge. We would get these new modes, and I would be excited to play every season. And then it feels like things just died. And I was like, okay, so the only thing left is the PvP, but then they're going to keep balancing it in ways that make PvP not fun. And then I'm just like, I don't, I don't, I want to be excited about the game, but you keep taking away the stuff that I enjoy and not putting in the things seasonally, which I like. Like, and then you just recycle the stuff we've already seen. Like, do you want us to play Maze Snowball Adventure thing again? Like, no, not again.
Outside of those annual events, one of the most fun limited time modes we've worked on in a while has to be Overwatch Classic. This was a labor of love for those of us who have been immersed in this universe for almost 10 years.
Overwatch Classic was the most fun I had in Overwatch 2, like pretty much ever.
We started in November with the Overwatch 1 launch day patch. 21 heroes, original abilities, no hero limits or role locks. Then in January, we rolled out with the September 2017 Moth meta patch, introducing the original versions of Ana, Sombra, Orisa, and Doomfist. But you can't do Overwatch Classic without the most notorious of Overwatch 1 periods. So coming in Season 15, we are bringing you Overwatch Classic GOATS. This meta is to play is jumping back.
I lived through GOATs. I played through GOATs. I'm not playing GOATs again.
Freya, your game. Freya hails from the land of Denmark, where the winters are cold and apparently the bounty hunters are even colder. Freya was once Overwatch's most renowned search and rescue operative, dedicated to saving lives. But when Overwatch disbanded, she put her skills towards a new purpose, bounty hunting. Now she'll hunt down any target for the right price. Freya is a hero with a unique arsenal at her fingertips. Armed with an explosive crossbow and a cape that gives her serious airtime, Freya doesn't play by the rules. We think you'll love the new dynamic she brings to Overwatch. Whether you're the type to strategize, hit the ground running, or hover above it, she's got something for everyone. Test your foes with her explosive flare, or wrap them up like a gift with her bola. And if someone tries to flee, well, as Freya says, run or hide, it won't matter in the end. Freya's kit doesn't just aim to control the battlefield, it aims to own it. Unload a flurry of rapid-fire bolts with her red draw crossbow to keep the pressure on your enemies. Slow it down with take aim to line up the perfect shot and fire high-speed explosive bolts that will turn your targets into fireworks. Quick dash in any direction to reload your explosive bolt and leave your enemies in the dust. Launch yourself sky high with an updraft of wind and catch those rooftop campers or get a bird's eye view before you strike. And finally, snag an enemy with a bola shot. Wrap them up and pull in their unlucky teammates for the ultimate combo play. For those of you who love a challenge, Freya is going to test your skills like never before.
She looks interesting, but I can't judge any of this character without actually like sitting down to play her. So like it looks cool, but there's nothing I can see from this to be excited about because like you never really know until you get your hands on it and start playing.
Internally as being one of the highest skilled heroes in the game, Freya's kit demands precision and a steady, long-range aim. Whether you want to dominate the battlefield or just float on the breeze, she's going to be the right bounty hunter to hire. Now that we've shown you Freya, you probably want to know who the Season 18 hero will be. I think it's fitting to give you a sneak peek at Hero 44.
One of these like nose piercings are like a new thing, and it's kind of nifty.
Codenamed Aqua, this Chinese war wielder has one of the most unique ability sets that we've ever developed. You'll learn more about him later this year. And before then, get ready for the Freya hero trial coming later in Season 15. Keep following the Overwatch 2 team on social media and our website. We'll release more hero comics and continue to share regular updates on balance changes for all of your favorite heroes.
Be some fun of it long time mode we've made gameplay 5 methods. This use these to unlock and customize abilities for your hero. Choose from mods that boost survivability, like extra armor, game-changing, and strategic encounters that enhance the.
I don't know what this is, and I don't like it. I think saying it's Overwatch, and there's like now a third person mode, and there's also like this talent trees and all this other stuff, and it's just like a different type of game mode. I'm like, when I see stuff like this, I'm like, it seems kind of clear you just don't really understand, I guess, like what players such as myself feel like we fell in love with the game with. Like I don't know what this is, and it doesn't look like Overwatch anymore. Like, why not just stick with it being an FPS, separate yourself away? Like, I understand, like, too, like, game developers take ideas from each other and implement them into their own game, and sometimes they work. But, like, Marvel Rivals took ideas from Overwatch and then created their own style. And now it seems like now it seems like Overwatch is taking ideas from Marvel Rivals and just taking them. Like it doesn't feel as natural. It doesn't feel like an iteration upon an improvement. It just feels like copying at this point, or just something that's just like I just don't really understand what I'm looking at or like why I care. Like I fell in love with Overwatch because of the PvP experience, and this is just like it seems like a completely different game, which I guess it's Overwatch 2, so maybe I don't know.
Well beyond anything we've released. This also includes the option to choose how you play in either a first person or an entirely new third person perspective.
Doesn't third person technically give you an advantage because you can see more around you then?
From which to see more of the battlefield and your modifications in action. To go into detail and really showcase what Stadium is all about, I'm thrilled to introduce Dylan Snyder and, of course, the one and only Dion.
Where unlock literal teammate edge in one powerful, all-in on experience layout to make navigating your mods simple and fun. The fresh layout and intuitive icons transform strategy into art, giving you the arsenal to power up your hero as you progress through intense matches, incorporating an intricate mod system. Each choice you make is a step towards strategic dominance. Early in the game, you'll invest in affordable mods that specify with your actions to maximize the awesome feel of impact and engine unlock.
I'm just skipping through it because I don't care about any of this stuff.
7 rounds. Stadium features a variety of maps for you to keep working each season.
Jumped on this one. She was really inspired by the Golden Dragon Pichu, and the team rallied to make sure that we brought her vision to life in a way that felt specific and authentic. Our 5th mythic weapon is for Widowmaker, coming out at Season 15 mid-cycle. We wanted something that truly embodied Widowmaker's hero fantasy, and our concept artist took that literally. I don't have favorites, but if I did, the theme for our Season 16 mythics is very
Like we're getting a Widow mythic because you know what people love right now is one shots.
near and dear to my heart. The team has been waiting forever to put our spin on the beloved Maho Shoujo genre. Animal familiars to fight against the Hollow Hearts and their looming threat of woe.
All of these skin concepts, by the way, are super awesome and super dope. I think they're amazing. I think the art team, the concept team really knocks it out of the park, and I'm excited to see what they look like.
Sharks, a fox, a cat, and even mischievous bunnies are ready to fight by your side. They're cute, they're fierce, and they'll make your heart doki doki. When it was time to pick the leader of the Heroes of Heart, the choice was obvious. Mars's favorite daughter gets a splash of pink in her mythic skin. Juno's radiance spreads hope wherever she goes, making her extremely powerful in the fight against woe. Her skin features her magical shark companions, Deimos and Phobos, named for the moons of Mars.
This is going to make them so much money for the people who are still playing.
Personally, I'm partial to the pastel yellow Doki princess, but villain enthusiasts will love her corrupted evil look too. But don't worry, Mercy Mains, I've got you covered. She's getting a season 16 mythic weapon. At mid-season, the ridiculously cute Elios joins the fight. I'm not going to say much because
This is also gonna pop off too. This is really cute. This is adorable. This concept's amazing. I wish I was an artist working on this game just to make stuff like this.
I think the concept really speaks for itself. He's just a little guy. Since Overwatch 2 was released, players have been asking for a mythic for this hero. She's a little bit of extra work for my team specifically, but it was time to make it happen. Our season 17 mythic skin is for Diva. We hope she lives up to your expectations. For her mythic, Diva will take on the spiritual aura of South Korea's national animal, the Siberian tiger. She'll have customizable hairstyles on the pilot, as well as a pink and an empire red colorway, so you can style her however you want. Season 17 will also feature Reaper's mythic weapon, designed to capture the allure of corruption. We asked our concept artist to make something edgy, and he really did deliver. With distinct weapons for each hand, they reflect Reaper's
This reminds me of Ebony and Ivory from Devil May Cry.
duality, his descent from beloved Overwatch commander to feared talent agent. Oh, and one last thing. While we aren't quite ready to reveal them yet, throughout the upcoming year, we have some very exciting collaborations. But there's one coming in season 15 that me and my girlies can give a slight reveal to.
Okay, the rest of it is the collaboration with the K-pop group and the OWCS, and I don't care about esports. I really don't. Somebody has made a comment before in a past video saying how like, oh, projectiles are actually played in OWCS, so that proves your argument wrong. It's just like no, characters played in a perfect synergistic team in a perfect scenario is not what I describe in my videos. I'm talking about the player experience. I'm not talking about the pro player experience. Like if a team can find a way to make Symmetra work in a perfectly synergized team coordinated plan, then great. But I can't even get more than two people in voice chat in Overwatch at a time. So the odds of making that sort of thing work in a game is just much more unrealistic. I care about the player experience and how each one of us individually plays, not how a perfect environment can a character can fully uh I don't know how a character can perform under the most perfect conditions. It's just not unrealistic. So I don't really care about esports. And the other stuff. So yeah, overall, like I think that all of this stuff is it's interesting and it's just clear that the direction that they're going with the game is different from what I would do. It's if you've seen my videos and you've seen my reworks and how I would change some of the heroes to base them more off a counterplay, like what they're doing here is the opposite of what I would do. So I just have to accept that at this point, like the game is going in a different direction than in a player like me wanted. And after 8 years of playing the game, just like after playing Team Fortress 2 and League of Legends, a design team comes in and they start making changes to stuff, and the game just suddenly feels a lot clunkier. It feels more boring. It's a lot less exciting and a lot less rewarding. And then I don't stop playing the game because I stopped loving the game. I stopped playing the game because they changed stuff and made it feel so different that I don't recognize what it is anymore. So although the perks are interesting, all of the stuff that they're adding, it just looks like it's just a more casual, wacky, crazy experience. And I, as the PvP player who loved the competitive side of things and the 6v6 and the making it feel like my interactions and my outplay potential was meaningful, like um it just isn't a game for me anymore. And that's fine. I've accepted that. I could be entirely wrong in that maybe the perks are going to be amazing. Maybe everyone's going to prove me wrong. But at first glance, I don't really care. Um it's not the game for me anymore, and that's fine. Maybe that they needed this in order to stay alive. Maybe they needed to do this in order to make more money and they weren't making enough. I don't know. But ultimately the vision is just not something that lines up with uh what I fell in love with back in 2016. And yeah, I just have to accept that. So it's fine. I just have to play some other games now. So, luckily Marvel Rivals is sort of scratching that PvP itch, but as as all gamers, I do have a large stack of single player games I never finished. So now's a good time, I guess. But yeah, that's my thoughts on this stuff. And it's not yeah, it didn't address any of the things that I was hoping for, and um didn't address any of the frustrations that ultimately I think the game is suffering from right now. So So yeah, I don't know. If you were excited about it, let me know. Like if you were an OG player, if you're a new player, or if perks are exciting to you, like I don't know. Tell me if you feel differently. Because for me, I look at this and I'm just kind of like, yeah, it doesn't feel like they actually heard or understood why people sort of like left and went to Marvel Rivals. But I don't know. Let me know if you feel any different.